Welcome to Leo Green Studio, and today we're coming from the Ohr-O'Keefe Museum in Biloxi, Mississippi. Besides just having art, they also have workshops. Today, I'm participating in a self-portrait collage workshop where we're going to do photo transfers. Here are a few examples and the startup of how we made these beautiful works of art. Here I'm using roofing paper about 2 feet by 5 feet as my canvas. I tape around the borders with blue painter's tape as the class begins.
I hope should support the arts. It's part of being an intelligent community leader. And this room, I have worked on to get it, a community gallery. And David, our leader, the director of this museum, is a huge supporter. And that doesn't always happen where community artists are supporting. And he dedicated this space strictly for community artists. And we have a whole series going on this year. This is cats, as I said, this is encaustic work. And if you look at it, you'll see how many layers, and you'll become so appreciative of it because you're going to be working in layers also with acrylic paint. And I'm next, so make sure you come in March on St. Patty's Day will be reception. You'll hear about it, I'll bring you to death. To support all the arts. A lot of people don't understand what's going on in the pods. Those are cutting edge art that we would not get to see in any other facility if we didn't have it here. It's not supposed to be art that you might like. That has nothing to do with it. It's art that's important to that artist. And for you to see and read about and then say, well, I get what they're doing. I don't necessarily like it. It's not to go in your living room. The old saying, it's not to go in your couch. It's very true. In my house, I'm married to an engineer, so we had to divide the house up. He has his art that he collects, and then I have my art that I collect, and the two don't meet. And we even divided the yard up, because I like my yard, I'm interested, and his is so good, that's it. But it works. We made these plans before we're married. So in 20 years, we're doing pretty good. I don't do a whole lot of talking, and I like to do demonstration. I think that is the best way to learn, is by demonstration. And I will do it step by step. I'm going to pretend you've never seen art in your life, so that we can do this gradually. It won't be intimidating. None of them are going to look alike. This is supposed to be a portrait of interest. You're going to have a crown that represents that portrait, a crown of interest, and a cloak of interest. It can be very meaningful to you. You can use symbols in it. We'll talk about that more. Or it could be something just about joy. Not all art has to be real deep. I'm a real surface person. I'm not that deep. But I also appreciate in the work that I do that there are stories in it. I love art that has stories. And when you see my show next month, people will always wonder, why in the world am I doing all these rabbit hairs? But there's stories about it. So that's what you're doing today. You're creating a story. And you're using a face. I have to use mine. A couple people ask me if they can use a dog or something else or a family member. We love it. It's going to be great. Now, the first thing you have to do to create this is to work on the surface. This is not a color book. One color is not going to cut it, folks. We're going to work in the layers. You have to decide on your color palette. And it needs to be limited. We don't want a rainbow on there. Limit it to warm colors, cool colors. It can be 3 colors, period, plus black and white. But limit it to 3 colors plus black and white so that it doesn't look like a madness of color. But it has some cohesiveness, unity. We talk about the elements and principles of art a lot. Unity is very important. And if you've got this rainbow going on, it becomes very confusing to the eye. So we want to work on a limited palette. You're going to decide on 3 colors plus black and white. We have all the time. We have plenty of paint. I have plenty of these palettes, so throw them away when you're through with it. So I'm going to choose a more warm palette. Probably use this paint first, because I've had it, and, but I've got plenty of everything else. So I like a yellow ochre, layers. You can't make mistakes on those. We're developing a background, and your background is just as important as your subject matter. Many people think of that as secondary, but that's the negative area around the space. All those little things that are interesting. If you look in Kat's work, it's so interesting to see all the little things that are going on in the background. We don't want it to take away, we want it to add to it. We want it to be important, but it's not the star. All right. Notice it's not all the same value. There's bits and pieces of paint. There's bits and pieces not of paint. Then I'll go to my next color. And also you have a washcloth at every table. And if you want to, if some of you hate to get paint all over your hands, I've got latex gloves for you. So I think I'll use, I'm going to go with a more earthy palette. Or the brown. And I'm doing this while it's still wet so they'll mingle and merge and become one. I'm not going to cover the whole surface. Is that brown? Pardon me? Oh, brown. It's a brown.
Start with a light color first, or does it matter?
But I will talk about that though. I like light, dark, so that it has a base, a place it's settling down.
Paulette, are you calling that brown another color, or is that yellow, or is that yellow, or a shade of yellow?
This is a yellow green.
Is the
A brown. It is a raw ombre.
Should we kind of look at what we brought and, like you said, get this color scheme based off of like the stuff?
You can, yes.
Hold it up.
I will.
Please.
Um,
And I have some scrap of paper.
I'll talk about that.
I can overshare.
Yeah.
I've got stuff for days. Everybody knows.
Well, I knew it would all be a sharing group, but don't think about anything except this step first. And we're going to talk about papers, and we're going to make papers, we're going to do printing. It's so much fun, it's ridiculous, your mind's going to explode. So, it is important that a little bit of that brown, though, is everywhere. A little bit of that yellow ochre is everywhere. When you do a painting, and all of this transfers, if you are a realistic painter, if you're an extreme abstract painter, all of these rules apply. You know what that means?
I got the baby yesterday and it was not pleasant.
Oh, thank you for not swallowing the child.
It was a big baby too.
Okay. So now,
I don't know how to see it.
because I love a little red, it just seems necessary. And I don't feel like I need a new palette for this because I like them working together. And notice it doesn't take a whole lot amount of paint even for this part. But there's so much of it, don't worry. I think we're painting here. So I'm dragging. Oh, I love the way it stems across. You know, there's just those little things that are so neat. How it stems across. Yeah. And because I want the bottom darker, I don't mind mixing together. Now, want to use a little black and white. I think I got this. Thanks. And you know, all this is subject to change. I'm like, if I paint that isn't working, which brings to mind, I need everybody's attention. This is very important. I think I included it in your folder. When you saw this class, you go, oh man, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I wanna be in that. Then you do this, and you go, this may be a little tricky. You know, I might have some problems here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Oh, are you gonna show this to high school students?
The world.
Clean up my language. Then you're in the middle of the process, and you're shit. All of a sudden, you will become shit. You haven't got a freaking idea what you're doing. You're looking at everybody else. You go, oh my, their marks are prettier than my marks. They've got a plan. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm shit. Then you keep going. Well, this could be shit too. Then you keep going. Toward the end, this just might be okay. I might be able to get this together. She's going to help me. She's going to give me some advice. And then finally, this was dadgummit awesome. I had a good experience. It may not be the best thing. The Ohr Museum may not be clamoring to hang it up in one of the pods, but I did it. That's the creative process right there. That's why I included it in the knowledge. And we all go through it. I paint with a group of professional artists every week, and we critique each other's work. And we all bring it in. This is shit, this work, I can't get it, help me with it, what am I doing? I think I'm an artist, I'm pulling out all my galleries, I don't know what I'm doing. So we all go through it, and there are paintings under our paintings too. Come on, baby. Another one. Twist that back out. Somebody get there really hard. So now I'm going to. So I do have a plan, but I wanted the values to be lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. So it's still a little wet, so it'd be nice to blend in some of this. And that's when these baby wipes come in. I love using them.
So joy not being able to wipe legal matter with it. So
Yes! Nurse.
yeah. It might, you know, I might not have the pavlovian response I normally do. That smell is a trigger.
So this is the fourth layer, and I'm not even going to finish yet. This is what we're working on until lunchtime. And notice what good marks it's making.
I'll never use the baby wipes because there's a little bit of alcohol in there. Is that?
That's not the reason. I use the baby wipes with alcohol in to wipe my hands off a little bit of clean. But I like the way they bunch up and they make marks on their own, and the wetness of them helps smear it. And because I want the top to also be white down here, I'll put some light here. And then some black. Be prepared to have lots of art stars on paint all over you. Don't paint too thick. Oh, that is so nice. I'm going to cover that guy up. probably will. You know, we're
I was gonna say, don't be.
we're gonna collage over a lot of this. This is called,
And it
don't
makes it,
become emotionally involved
and it makes it
in
so hard to
this.
cover it up.
Don't marry it, because we are going to cover a lot off.
So are you doing a kind of light, medium, dark, or are you just trying to do light and dark?
So I'm gonna get it real dark out here.
Okay.
Notice I'm using the towel, it's dry. It's a great mark maker. And I see now, there's a lot going on, and I like it. So I'm going to, I want yellow ochre to be a nice predominant color right here. If you look back here, you can see bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. It's gonna be the best friend. Look collage on I'll keep working on mine. Paint is here. I'll tell you more about papers later. I brought so many good papers for y'all, and I know you brought your stuff too. But this morning is about covering the surface with paint, layers and layers and layers. You have 10 layers on here. That's pretty good. All right, have fun. Questions? I love questions.
So here, I'm starting to apply my first couple of layers. I'm taking the paint, the acrylic paint, and I am smearing it in different directions to create fun and nice marks.
And you think none of this is gonna show on the paper?
It will be just a piece, and it's part of the learning process, layers.
I'm trying to keep the parts I love to the outside, so maybe they'll make it. If you put it in a tiny book.
Right now, I'm continuing. I'm adding as much mark making as I can. I'm trying to work with a monochromatic palette of red, where my right side of the canvas is a darker red than the left side. So I'm just really getting a chance to smear and make marks on my canvas.
you'll cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
And I brought a box of tissues.
No crying.
So we have our image that we're going to use. This is a laser one, and the chances of it working are a little bit better than with an inkjet. And most printers at home are inkjets. I've had lasers. It's a tired paying for ink. I already paid enough for ink over. But there's still no guarantee in this transfer. But don't worry if it doesn't work. There's like 3 layers on that one. It didn't work the first time. We make things work. We're going to plan B, C, and D. So don't get upset if plan A does not work. We're going to start with plan A. I cut my face out. Then you've got to decide how much space you want for a headpiece. And obviously, I think I'm really important that I am making this great crown of importance. And I'm room for a collar. So I cut my piece out, placed it on here, and did a little outline pencil. I've got pencils over there if you need it. I've got extra scissors over there. And then I'm going to paint a base color where this transfer is going to be. I traced it with a pencil.
And do we have to use yellow ochre or do we use colors from
I'm
our
using
palette?
a color that I have in my palette.
Okay, that's what I was.
Light. Because I do want it to show up. You notice this one, I have high hopes for it, but that doesn't mean most of it may turn out to be, is there a child? Turn out to be. Yeah, it's tricky. It can be disappointing, but we persevere, which is the most important lesson in life. When I was teaching elementary art, I noticed that kids cannot persevere, and you notice stuff happens, and they fall apart on the floor. So, I tell the only advice I give my daughters, who are so much better at raising children than I was, teach them to persevere. Things do not always work out. My son has to be the best person I know at persevering. You have plan A, B, and C. This first one doesn't work. All right, so I'm putting no texture. I mean, yeah, I'm going to pick eyes. Don't worry about getting out of the lines. I tinted this white just because I think it'll be neat to have that show through. And I like for all my whites to be tinted so they're not so harsh and white. You can see that's pretty darn dry. So I'm going to let it dry though completely. And then this is when you're going to take, and I have extra of this. On this you have to use the gloss medium, works really well. I have a Liquitex, but there are many other brands that work. And you are going to put a nice amount, not too much, not too little, this is all experimental, on your surface. And you're going to lay it flat down. And you take, I love to use the back of these or your credit card and burnish it. Go from the center, like the old wallpapering days, we used to do a lot of wallpapering, go from the center out, center out, center out, center out. Get it burnished on there good. Make sure you've covered every little area with your medium. Leave it alone. It's got to dry overnight. You can't rush it. That's when you really have mistakes. And then tomorrow, we'll come and reveal a transfer that has stuck to this. The first one didn't work on this one, so I was all excited and rubbed the hell out of it and filled all the paper up. So you have to work very carefully in layers, and I'll show you that in the morning. But if it doesn't work, don't worry, we'll decoupage out on there. We are not worried. We go to plan B. But we want to learn about transferring. There's lots and lots of different ways of transferring. I made a board because I wouldn't remember. This is, and I'll leave this out here, this is Mod Podge transfer, and this is with an inkjet printer, and it works pretty darn well. let it dry overnight. I was really pretty happy with that. Mosh Podge is just glue and water. It's nothing fancy. But I got the real stuff and used it. This one, it did not work quite as well, but I tried Elmer's glue, but in some ways I really like it a lot. I like the spots showing up through. Remember, we want this to be interesting. We don't want it to be like a photocopy slapped on here. We want it to be painterly. So mistakes can be your very best friend. On this one, I got a product called, they're in here, Rust-Oleum made it, a photo transfer on inkjet, and it worked pretty well. All these dots. And back here, this is a wet acrylic paint. So I could put it directly on that paint with nothing. And it's another way to transfer.
Were the dots a stencil?
This one, that's a stencil iron. No, that's paper.
Oh,
That's a, you know that scrapbooking stuff? You can go and buy those papers. I went and bought a pile when they were 50% off, and then I went and copied them in black and white, and that's what that's from. This one, and I like it. It's not as bright as exact as this one, but this was with transfer tape, and that's a product that I discovered, and I kind of like it. This is transfer. You use an iron on it. It was pretty neat. So you can also use transfer. There's a million things, and we're only going to do this because we'll be too scattered. There's a lot going on anyway. But I wanted to tell you about these things that you can YouTube and investigate. Shipping labels. You take those labels off, and you've got this shiny surface paper. You can use that. There's a million things out there. But I'll leave this up here that you can look at other possibilities. So, but you can see how not to get too upset if holes come up after because we're going to rub these off. That's possibilities here. That's possibilities. Okay.
Show me how you're gonna put that down, your picture. No, I mean, is it upside down,
Yes.
or is it?
Yes, because what you're going to do is have this ink flow on into it.
Okay, so the picture is actually gonna be reversed.
Yes. If you do lettering, you know you have to reverse it image on your computer. Brand new art supplies. Art supplies. I mean, I had 3 other bottles of it. I don't care. Just use my hands because I can feel it.
Wow, looks like it's changing already.
And it'll be clear.
And you don't let it dry before you put it on, right?
No. Want it here.
So that stays overnight.
It stays overnight. It's really important. Believe me, I know. I have rushed it. I said, oh, it's dry. An hour later. No, it doesn't work. So then you can take pretend your ball paper. And you want to get it as smooth as possible. But if you've got some texture in your work, that's okay. It's all have to be down there exactly. Don't worry about paint on the edges. Remember, we're creating more things. This is our subject. I would advise for good design, don't put it dead in the middle. Have it lower third or upper third. You want it to really adhere good. You have to use a gentle yet firm touch as you're stroking your husband. He's had a surgery this week, and you're leaving him. You have to pat them and say, "You're a big, brave boy. You can do this." It's we're gonna clean up a little bit. That's okay. Let's work on that. This is not a complete photo exactness. It's a transfer, and that's what's so interesting. Stuff happens. I love these.
So that reminded me, that'll stay overnight.
Overnight, don't touch it.
Okay.
Leave that sucker alone.
And we're gonna paint around it today?
No. We're gonna go have lunch, and we can eat out here, we can go, I suggest, but you have to leave. Because I want you to get away from your artwork, and then you can come back. There's great outdoor spaces over on the other side, right here. I suggest we all go over there, so we have a new environment, it's nice, and you can look at the pods, coming back here at 1. Because I want you to look at the pods, what's going on, and there's something really exciting going on with the new exhibit crawling, and I haven't been in it yet, thanks for space open. And then we're gonna come back. These need to be put outside. I'm so grateful to the art gods that we can put these outside. This will be it for today, for this. Can you come back? It's gonna be exciting. We're gonna make some stuff.
Oh, good.
This is it for this today. Questions on all of them?
Should we paint our face background before lunch so it'll be dry when we come back?
You can't go to lunch until you do this.
Oh, we have to do the whole thing, okay.
The process of these abstract mark making techniques was really out of my comfort zone at first, but I kind of just went with it. I'm creating some areas where I know I'm going to place the pictures that I have, and I'm actually starting to cut them out and place those pictures where I think they'll fit on the canvas the best. So I took these photos myself. Some photos that I had came off of the internet. With mine, I was gonna do a tribute to Leo, and everybody in the art piece is named Leo, or in my mom's case, her sign is a Leo. So I have myself, Leo. I have my dad, Leo. I have my brother, Leo. I have my nephew, Leo. And I have a lion, which is the king of the jungle. And my mom, her sign is a Leo. So that was kind of like the backstory of my art piece that I decided to do. The significance of my name and having to have a crown kind of really worked well, and I just kept going with that. So when I did my printouts, you really want to get really clear images. The clearer the image is, the easier it is going to be to show up when you're gluing and pasting down. So right now I'm putting the Mod Podge onto the work, right onto the face, and I'm being sparingly a little bit, trying to make it nice and smooth and easy. And then I'm actually going to take like a card to kind of smooth out all of the Mod Podge underneath it. So here's me just kind of smoothing it out. And I did photo transfers before. This was actually with the Liquitex a little bit. Normally I just use Mod Podge, so it was nice with the Liquitex. Be careful that you don't get too much of the Liquitex or the Mod Podge on the top of it, because you're going to really wet this down later on and you're going to rub off of all of the paper. We actually did this on the first day to make sure that we gave it enough time. So what happens is with the Liquitex and the Mod Podge, the ink actually transfers into the glue.
You're going to use some papers that are already printed. Y'all are so good. Do you know how hard it is to find wallpaper books?
I was wondering where you scored those.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous.
A little pressure, a little threatening. They eBay for like $25.
Oh my
I
God.
hadn't done wallpapering in 20 years, like. And a neighbor of mine is an interior designer. I went to her, and luckily I've been really good to her for a long time. And she gave me all of those.
Oh, wow.
And they're beautiful papers, beautiful papers. So, you're welcome to use that. I have tons of magazines, use that. I have incredible papers over here that are from my collections that I've used, and so we just can never have enough art stuff, ever. Over there, all of this is, welcome to use, but stipulations when you're using all these things. It is very, very important that you make your own stuff. Use the things that are already made as accents. And I would also, when we get through, we'll alter a little bit. Because we don't want this whole thing to be something that's from a magazine, something that's from a wallpaper. So we're going to use it as a tool. It's wonderful. This is just. I went nuts over there. Yes. I want you to think of papers that are light, medium, and dark. So you're going to need a big collection. You've got a big surface. You really don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to make a crown, a collar with your collage papers. The rest of the afternoon, it's so darn lucky. It's clay, literally clay. This one I love teaching art. It's handmade clay. I have to be organized and complicated. So this is a jelly plate. Some have used it, some haven't. A million ways to use these things. And I have about 5 of my own, and then people have lent me theirs. Wash them with your baby wipes. Easy way to do it, but you must be respectful of the jelly plates. Because they last forever. This one is probably 20 years old. So it's wonderful. You're also, when you research on the internet, you will see that it says, oh, make your own jelly plate. Nothing to it. They are big, fat liars. I have never seen such a mess in my kitchen.
Well, you did say you're not a good cook, so.
I'm a horrible cook. Exactly. I cook the way I paint. I don't measure a darn thing. My husband will always say, am I ever going to see this meal again?
Same, girl,
Just
same.
throw it in there. But I was not successful. It was, I just thought I was going to have something for y'all. Maybe we could make it this big with my Pyrex dishes to do it. It was hideous. So it's worth the investment. And you can go to Michael's and get it for you. So it's not so bad. I think they're like $18 to $25. It's okay. And I told everybody at Christmas, like any crap, I wrote gift cards to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and it worked. And we also heard people talking about wasting things. I'm not going to waste it today. You need a paper, like a jelly plate, a paper by your side, and some have their own jelly plates. It's not necessary because we got it, but you do have to share the jelly plates. Use it, put it back over there behind, they're stacked up over there under the blue coat. Put you a paper here, which you're going to use, and then you have your jelly plate. A couple of ways to use it. Let me show you.
Squeeze in between. This is good, right?
This is just out of what magazine is this? I think it was Simple. They were really well. Not all magazines work. It seems like the semi-gloss works the best. The satin. I think the satin might work the best. But this is, you can get a print like this. I was so excited. Oh my God. So you're going to need a little paint. It doesn't take a lot. Grayers, and I have a sack of grayers. I think I'll put them over there with the jelly plates. Is it a soft or a hard glue? get too much, it's bad. You get too little, it's bad. This comes with experience. Don't throw them away. You can use them. Remember, we're making collage paper. And I feel like that's too much paint. And this is going to be paper we're making also, when we clean off our brayer.
Oh, I noticed that when I was playing with my other clay, the papers that I was using to clean up were more beautiful.
This one, look at that. Holy moly, I love it. I was trying to make some extra paper. It's like, yes. Sometimes we think too much. Okay. Then you take this. No guarantees of any one that they ever. Oh, I gotta go with that one. Press that baby down. You can just use your hands.
It's about to be magical. Something magical is about to happen.
Sometimes. Sometimes, and for some reason, sometimes, it ain't ever gonna work. But it's fun to draw, isn't it? Alright, so we take it off. Not enough. So what were you going for? I'm gonna show you. Where the dark is, it stays. Where the light is, it doesn't. So let me put some more on. And be prepared for that happening. So what you do? Try again. Let's try a little more paint. Oh yeah. Guarantees. Let's see what it does. Take a piece of paper. We'll try again too.
What is in that stuff?
Magic.
It transfers it like that.
See what it does?
The ink that comes off and goes in the.
There you can
Something
see,
happens.
just see a little face on that one. And then you can save these papers though, because layers are our friends. Save all of the papers. You can take a handy wipe. I got a bag right here.
Now, this is the first time I ever worked with jelly plates, and it's a way that you can alter some of the cutouts of the different papers that you get from the magazine, because you don't want to just have the same texture in your collage happening the whole time. So this actually helps, this printing process helps you manipulate the surface, because this is basically what it's about. Like here, they're using stencils along with the jelly plate, and I thought that was a really neat way to kind of change and alter, because you don't want it to just be a copy of what you're doing. And just a little hint of it really brings out what you're doing in your work. And when I was using this paper making technique of the blotches, you can tell it just really adds to it. And you can do all kinds of different things and try to get these marks in it. And you're building up a visual context of other elements that you can add in your work. And they might be significant, they might be just odd thing objects like that right there is an old space heater piece. Oh, not a space heater, it's an old time heater where the ceramic towel as the heating element is just something different that you wouldn't actually think or even could tell what that is when looking at it into your work. That's some of the fun things about this project. Here we have another way. If you don't have a Gelli plate, you can actually use this placemat, this plastic or linoleum placemat, to kind of roll out your ink, and you can make other marks to kind of just get the colors that you might like or whatever you may be using. So they're just placing the acrylic paint right there and using the kitchen mat as a tool to go on for the Gelli plate. Now, this foam here, I really enjoyed using the foam. I thought that was a really neat way to make stamps, because you can take the foam that has the little sticky paper on it and you cut it out and you just place it on the paper and it becomes a stamp. So here, using a baking tool to do it, rolling out the ink with the braiders, or in this case rolling out the acrylic paint, and we're just building up more and more paper to add to our work.
pink. It is beautiful, beautiful. Just really lovely. And you can get Old National Geographics at any library. They charge us pennies for these crap. But this makes really nice paper. And you are welcome to paint this outside. Yeah. No, honey, no. All right, let me have your attention. We're approaching the midnight hour. Yes. So, we're gonna leave it forward. This is a great idea to put your things with your work over it, lay it across. If you need something to dry, set it outside right now, and it'll have time to dry in the next few minutes outside. So get your stuff, your workstation organized, cleaned up. I can do that. That's no problem. Y'all can come back here behind me. I'm comfortable with people behind me. Yeah, people don't bother me. Y'all just work.
Oh, yeah, and I lost it up on the side of you. I didn't move.
We were just laughing, I can't stand the smell of essential oils and natural things, but I love chemicals, I love acrylic spray in the house. My husband's always going crazy, what is going on in here? And oils and turpentine, can't take those essential oils.
I all the time.
All right, listen up. Feast your eyes on here. And stay calm if it doesn't work. It did not work on this one the first time. So that's why we go to plan B. In life, you always have to have plan B, not just plan A. Happens all the time. So you need a spray bottle.
And it just has water, right?
It just has water. Mist it. Don't drown it. And think of it as a baby's butt. This is a baby's butt.
We love those little babies.
We love it. Not a husband or a boyfriend. We're a little rough.
Well, they're butts.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, no, that's what Leo's hospital group. They don't I don't want Leo to lose his job. I want Leo to have a retirement. See how I'm kind of
The kids are probably
soaking it in. Yeah, Leo's got to live to retirement so he can really have a good life. Okay. I'm getting just a little bit. I'm doing it in circles and I can feel it starting to peel up. This has layers, even this thin copy paper has layers in it. Sorry.
This is my text.
If you need to, I have no problems with phones because we have families, we have lives, we have a lot going on. A lot of us have a lot going on with families. And
Some of us have dogs.
some of us have 6 dogs. Okay, you see how it's peeling?
Yeah.
That's the first layer.
So this is gonna take a minute.
It should not take more than 30 minutes. No, it really doesn't take that long, because you're only gonna take off that top layer first.
Do you keep spraying it?
No.
Okay, just do the initial spray and
Yeah.
don't do anything else.
Do you think a thicker layer of the stuff helps?
No, absolutely not. You have to use the thinner paper.
Not what I'm saying with the
medium.
Mod Podge with the glue.
I have used every single thing there is. That is a whole thing full of stuff. Mod Podge makes now a transfer,
Yeah.
and it works really good.
I did some
I
shoes
didn't
like
believe
that.
them.
Okay, man, that's what
Mom
I
is
Mod
use.
Podge transfer medium.
I think
It's
that's okay.
some type of different
I was
from
thinking
the
it was the
regular
same
Mod
thing in a
Podge.
different
I
bottle.
think the water
like
doesn't
marketing.
And
take
it
it off
works
as much.
very nicely. This has worked wonderful for me, the best, latex, and you can see
Liquitex.
Liquitex.
The gloss.
I always say latex.
Okay.
So I'm beginning to see that it's.
I see it in your-
Yeah, yours is working.
It's kinda,
Of course it is.
no, I mean, that one didn't 3 hours.
I'm just
So,
messing with you.
Did you just layer it on top of each other then, if this didn't work the first time?
yes.
You just put another one down?
I just put another one down, let it dry overnight.
Okay.
Again, yard will be able to do that. It's no problem, we'll just decoupage that baby out, or we can,
Oh, well, if I
supplement
use
it.
all my images, I guess I'll put the colors on there.
Yeah, I'll put several ones on. Oh, this one, it's doing nicely.
So I'm planning for disaster.
You always plan for B, always plan for B, and then you, I'm sorry, I have to answer this because I have a sick husband at home. This morning I told him, I said, I got 10 minutes, what you need? This is your time. I got fired as a night nurse thing. I was really good during the day.
You fell asleep?
But you slept through the alarm
He
clock.
yelled at me, pull it. I didn't hear him, he yelled again, I didn't hear him. And, I staggered in there in the morning, and he had spilled water everywhere. He's, I had to sleep in a lazy boy.
Did he have shoulder surgery?
Yeah. And I said, you gotta fire your night nurse, she's not even good. Daytime, I'm on top of things. Oh, boy.
It's
Oh, boy, that's
working.
working excellent.
Very, very nice.
Well, that's good
display.
because then you can show us things.
And it is, but that's, I have to be prepared too for like, those photo images take me, I was thinking about that last night, that it didn't work for y'all. But that's, you know, sometimes it's atmospheric, sometimes it's because I was a good, bad night nurse, it wasn't gonna work. My karma was ruined.
What didn't work after that?
The photo image
Oh, yeah.
on the jelly plate,
Well,
Sometimes
I
it works,
fell in love
sometimes
with
it
those jelly plates. I'm definitely ordering one from Amazon today.
yeah, and they come big, they last forever, they're a little expensive investment, but they last forever.
I got mine on Amazon, it's about 30 or less.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that.
That's
the
not
big-
so
the
bad.
bigger-
I'm
the bigger
wasting
size.
money.
It's pretty big. That was the biggest one that
Art
had.
supplies, it's art supplies. Oh, there's a nice one right here.
Okay, so
Really good.
Now then, do that, and then, y'all look and see how there's still another layer of haze. This is where people screw up.
okay,
They wanna go, oh, I wanna get that off, I can't take it.
And the whole thing.
You stop.
stop.
Okay,
with the-
Stop.
Stop with that top
You
layer.
stop at that top layer, and there, you can see it now. Look at those wrinkles. Let that dry for about an hour,
Okay.
and then get your, you can use your sponge, you can use this, you just have to see what works really well for you. And lightly, let it dry, it's much better if it dries, if you can get that off. And it still's gonna have a little bit, but I made this phenomenal discovery. You can spray it when you're down to as good as you can get it without damaging it somewhat. And you spray it with an acrylic spray, just comes.
Oh,
Comes out.
Oh, okay.
Comes out.
Because it never did that for you before. But I researched, you know, you can find everything on Pinterest and Google and everything. And I said, oh, I have a problem with this. What can I do? What can I do? Okay, go do this. I'll give you about 30 minutes, and then I'll discuss the rest of your future. See this acrylic spray I have in cans.
That's the one thing too.
I'll go get it.
I've been doing it. Peel. And I feel it to where you can see it. So.
But you don't have to do that. You know, rub it completely off. Almost. It's still, you know, when you see it, it's still translucent. You can still see the paper layer on it. Yes, I have extra spray bottles.
Okay.
And I put them in an extra thing over there.
Okay, let me fill it up.
It's right there. I have extra spray bottles.
Okay, so now it's been a day, and I let the Mod Podge and the liquid medium to dry up and transfer itself. So I start off by spraying a little bit of water on it, just to kind of saturate the surface a little bit. And I am gently, even though it isn't looking like I'm doing this real gentle, I'm gently rubbing away the paper. So I'm spraying it a little bit more, and it is coming off fairly easy. I have some of the towel to kind of break it up a little bit, but generally you can just use your hand. Once you get it started, it's really easy. I'm actually rolling it off, and look at that. You're about to see something amazing happen. It's happening right now. Just a little bit. Oh, there it is. That smile is starting to break through. And you actually see the image of myself right there. It's been transferred from the photocopy to the actual paper. And I have that nice green tint underneath it. A couple things you do need to watch out. Make sure it's a light color, because if you have a dark color, the image won't pick up really well. Really works if you have lightly tinted colors. So that teal green or that turquoise green that I have right there is really helping to kind of show my image. And again, I'm just being very careful. I'm rubbing away the paper, and I do this a little bit at a time. It's no big rush. Just be careful, because you can start to tear it away. I find that having too much water could be a bad thing too. If you let it soak, especially with the Mod Podge, it'll just break through and dissolve the glue that's sticking the image together. Okay, so you want to watch that. And I'll repeat this for all of the images that I have.
Yeah, I got it where it's kind of peeling. Because I was kind of banking on that, even the acrylics.
to be aware of. Slather it on. I learned that in art school. Slather it on. You decide and how you want to break it up. There'll be things on top of this too. But this is the important step here. Take your scraper and make it one with the surface.
So you're saying tissue paper, something that's,
I'm using tissue paper, I'm using other papers, a mixture, but I feel like it's all in the color scheme. That's what I'm doing. I'm using big pieces, medium pieces.
So thin papers?
Any of the papers. I'm going to use a variety. But don't forget to burnish it. Ooh, I like that photo.
Is it okay if it has wrinkles?
Oh, it's better.
Okay.
So if you're doing at the top, you want to use something lighter?
Well, this was my my skin. My top is lighter.
Right.
My bottom is darker.
Okay.
So I'm going with lighter at the top.
Okay.
And let me do a few more for you. I like those wrinkles on.
But you're not gonna cover up all of your background, right?
No, I'm not. But I'm breaking it up. It's too much. It's lovely. It's too much. It's lovely. And some of this will be kind of overlapping is important. That your friends get along well. Use your credit card. You want it to be one.
So it can be tissue paper or the magazine paper?
Yeah,
Use
I got
any
some more
paper. She said use
I got
anything that you
Oh, I
have.
love. I'm gonna found it. So excited.
Ooh.
Yeah, over it. Kind of like torn lines, but over too many hard edges. That needs breaking up.
So now we're going into the paper.
These remind me of museum banners that we hang outside the museum. It's like sideshow banners.
You'll be able to, because we're going to put a coat on, like, text over it.
and, the baby's faces.
Right on my front door. I've got a couple of those scrapbooking books over there. I'm really not going to do too much on the bottom here. That's going to be a collar. This is a special formula. And you can use the cheapest. No, just for those that paid for the class. That took a chance. All right, now.
So you're leaving a lot of people where it lands.
I'll wipe it up. to spray it outside.
And would we do just a third one?
When you reach it as far as you can. Yep. We are busy working. This is a workshop I gave a couple months ago, installation, cigar boxes. I'll put it in this summer. But this is some of my students. Anita. And here's another one. It's done. I love doing these installations in boxes, cigar boxes.
Where do you find all the boxes?
A lot of smoke, girl. Yes.
Yeah. For that signature guy?
That's all my cigar shops and stuff.
He won't sell me. Oh, okay. Yeah. He's pretty, yeah. Pretty stingy. Okay, good.
Thank you.
They were cute.
But they weren't really good.
Yeah.
Y'all probably won't be out.
Oh, mine's looking foggy again. Don't listen to me. Plan on the header.
Yeah, okay.
Big shapes in the back. It's done in layers also. And I'm playing. I like the circle motif to show up a lot in this. And then I'll put another layer in there. A whole lot more fun things in there. And I'll take some of this wonderful. I'll have a focal point right there, something like that. So you need a focal point on your headpiece. You see, this little fellow has one. But it is a crown of achievement, of importance, and the collar is one of significance. And we use that same glue solution to glue on your crowns and your collars. Refer up to what I'm doing and up here. And later on after this dries, we're going to draw into it. Items also. And if you look at my face, you can see how it looks like your face did when you spritzed it with water. I took it outside, let it dry a little bit, and sprayed it with a coat, and
That stuff out there.
that stuff out there. That's good smelling stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that made you higher. Don't take that.
Do you spray it before you start doing the crown?
I did. Yes.
Does it matter?
No, I think it does, because you don't want to
Okay.
throw all that yet. I would suggest make an arrangement of big shapes, glue it down, then go to medium shapes, glue it down, and then go to small shapes. Like, I need shapes inside of here, I need shapes inside of here.
Right.
I need some activity going on to make that really significant. And then I'm going to take those shapes and repeat them down here in a little bit darker shade. And that is your instructions.
I'm spraying on some crystal clear. After you rub off all the paper that you can get off and you put some water on it and it shows how clear it's going to be, well, that's how clear it's going to be when you put the crystal clear. So that ghostly image, I just kind of started appearing from it. So you see the crystal clear. Now again, like you can see with my mom, I had a little spot where I didn't have it light in the background, so it's very dark on that spot. And also the picture I chose, you have to have a real clear picture. So the line is not showing up almost at all. He's real faded and hazy.
I'm gonna do something about that later on when I'm picking it up. But all my other images, if it was a good image, it showed up really well. It had some good contrast with it, and I lather it on really good, and that image appears. And some spots, like where it's torn up, I'm not so upset because I know I'm going to cover up partial of it with the crown. So it's just telling yourself and feeling okay about having mistakes, because mistakes happen, and it's just how you approach and you work on those mistakes will really get your art to come out good. So I'm gonna let that dry for a couple minutes, and then I'll be able to start applying the crown and the necklace of significance. Here I just wanted to show somebody else adding theirs, and you can see it's hazy at first, and then they put the clear coat on and the person's image disappears. So I thought that turned out pretty good. So all of that cutout paper that I gathered and printed and chose is for my crown and my necklace of significance, which I turned really into like a garment of significance, I guess. And I just looked up some images of different types of crowns, and I worked through making those different types of crowns. I wanted something that had a lot of texture in my crown. And I chose this. This kind of stood out to me a little bit more than some of the other things. So it had red color and it's brown. And I thought that would have been like the perfect material for me to use. I'm gluing it down. I'm slathering it on the tissue paper. I wish I would have found more of the color tissue paper to use as well. They used a little bit of the real yellow pages, and that worked fine too. But you're really trying to add and change your surface. So this all kind of works in changing my surface a little bit. And I'm gonna just continue to build this crown. actually outgrew my working space, so I taped it onto the door, or I found the most open part of the room at the Ohr Museum. It just happened to be the door of the restroom, but hey, it was all, as they would say, something and giggles, ship and giggles. All right, but anyway, I am applying my rest of my crown. I have some foil, some gold foil that I'm adding to my crown. That texture paper is really heavy, so I actually had to go and use some rubber cement to kind of hold it together. But I am piecing together, and this crown, it almost turns into like maybe like an Egyptian type hat in a sense of how tall it is. I wanted it to be big and bold, yet I wanted to have some kind of structure to it, some kind of pattern or reasoning behind it. But I think it actually turned out pretty well. It's me putting on more of the rubber cement. The rubber cement actually holds it pretty good, because that was really some thick paper. So I guess the thicker paper, if I had more time, I probably could use just the regular glue, so it can adhere to it, or even use maybe a hot glue too. So, and I just wanted to have as many layers of the crown as I can get. And right now I probably have 10 layers all together with it, so it's just working out perfect. It's turned into this family tree of Leos. Now, my necklace of significance really turned into my garment of significance. So here I have all of these textured papers that came from the Wallpaper magazine, and I'm adding that to make a garment. I didn't want to just be floating heads. I believe, that it should be grounded a little bit, and everybody was somewhat a floating head besides having shoulders. So I wanted just to piece their garment, and the garments and their hats kind of unify the grouping because they're made mostly the same way. So I'm building this repetition that links and ties my family tree of Leos, or the Leo tree here. And again, I'm still adding layers and layers onto this, and I think those layers actually help improve this work. And I'm even going to go as far as to paint over this some more. So right here, I am kind of antiquing my crowns. They were looking a little bit too pristine. I'm weathering them by adding a wash of black to it, so it's just giving it this more depth and feel, and it's actually turning out quite nicely. I think in certain different parts, it's actually bringing out my image of my person. Darker things seem to pull you back, brighter things seem to thrust forward. So that's what I'm really going at. That's my goal into this actual part, and it's the finishing touch of the work. After I do this, I can just kind of peel off the blue painter's tape, and it's going to really start standing out after that. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this photo transfer. When I participated in the George Ohr workshop with Paulette Dove, and I really enjoy this piece. I'm gonna have my class do some works just like it with the photo transfers. Again, if you like, give it a thumbs up, comment, tell me what I need to do better, like and subscribe. Leo Green Studios. Y'all have a good one.